Morning, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news, and I'm very pleased to announce that we've got Paul live with us this morning. How are you doing, Paul?
Yeah, I'm great. Really great. Weather's crap, but apart from that, I'm in good form, good spirits. Good United win the weekend. Talked about whether R7 should start last week on the show. We got our wishes, and as they say, the rest is history. Great day, great game, great fans, great atmosphere. Return of the prodigal son, and you didn't let them down. Unbelievable stuff.
We'll talk a bit about him tomorrow's game, but from one Paul to another, there's a bit of a breaking story this morning that Paul POGBA is going to be, he was impressed with Saturday. We know he's out of contract in a year's time. The Athletic are saying that Paul Pogba's had his head turned and he's now, never been more open to signing a new contract than he's ever been. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, as a United fan, as an ex-pro yourself, I've always said that why would he sign a contract now when he can wait till the summer and see what's up for him? But it just shows you the buzz around United. Could he be persuaded to do it now? Ronaldo's apparently had a huge impact.
Yeah, but listen, we always had this kind of issue with Paul Pogba over the last couple of years from the Mourinho days. We've never kind of felt comfortable coming back to United, especially under Jose. Obviously, there was two big egos clashing all the time, and we thought, his agent was coming out in the papers saying he's leaving, he wants to go, he's not happy. Didn't really adhere himself to the Mate United fans. As I said before, when all these stories are coming out and you're not playing well, it's the worst thing in the world you can do as a player. If you're going on the pitch and you're performing and playing great, then yeah. But that was never the case with Paul Pogba until this season. So we've had it for the last couple of years. Is he going to stay? Is he going to leave? Is he going to Real Madrid? Is he going to PSG? Is he going back to Juventus? All these crap that's been coming out, and now for some reason, whether it's the return of R7, there might be a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Listen, it's not guaranteed. I still feel that Paul Pogba's dream is to go and play for Real Madrid. I honestly believe that. I'm not sure the reason why. This is not the Real Madrid of old. It's a Real Madrid where they haven't got a lot of Galactical stars. Probably Benzema's probably the only one. Hazard's not really done the business there. And you can see, what United are actually building, and what they're going to do. And that's got to excite Paul Pogba, and it's got to excite the fans. He started the season ever so well. Really, really well. Apart from obviously the Wolves game where he played as a holding midfield player against Fred, he's been outstanding. And when you kind of look at the United side now, you can. I said last year we haven't got any world-class players. You look at the City team, the Liverpool team, Chelsea team. They put name 3 or 4 world-class players in their team. Now all of a sudden we've got Pogba, we've got Fernandes, we've got Ronnie, we've got Maguire. We're looking like we've got some really world-class players. And actually with something that should excite Pogba. And hopefully that's the case, because obviously what you don't want to do, because you don't want this going on throughout the season. Is he staying? Is he going? Is he going to sign a new contract? Where's he going to go? It can be a distraction, especially for the player. But if he wants to stay, and he's alluding that he wants to stay, then put pen to paper. Don't let it manifest throughout the season. That's no good to anybody. But we were sitting here 2 weeks ago saying he's probably signed a pre-contract in January somewhere else.
Yeah.
Now we're sitting here saying, well, there's a chance that he might actually, sign his future away to Manchester United, which would only be great for everybody.
It is. I think with Pogba, it's interesting because I think he's been brilliant so far this season. And I think the buzz around United is unbelievable at the moment. I don't think this has been. I know we've won cups, but I don't think it's been this positive since we last won a title. So there's United in relation to presenting a project to Pogba. They probably can't do any more. But I also agree with you. I think that if he's he has been here for 6 years now. This will be 7 years or something like that, and it's his last big contract. I think as a minimum, because I don't want to be negative on a positive time, even I, as a United fan, would wait until the summer to see what's on offer, because you don't know what PSG or Real Madrid or Barcelona or anyone else is going to offer you. And at the very least, you can then say to United, this is what I'm being offered. I want a bit more money. To sign now would be Plus, the season could implode. You know, it could implode, couldn't it?
It could be. And listen, and you know, you're probably right. If I was Paul Pogba now, you know, I would say, listen, I'm playing well. I don't want to talk about any transfer, any clubs, any contracts. I just want to play as I'm playing, and then address it come the end of the season. You're absolutely spot on. Why would he commit himself now? Doesn't make sense as a player. I'm not sure what his agent's saying to him. But you're right. Yeah, coming in the season, you've got a player who's been outstanding all season. He was a free agent, and we know from a financial point of view what that brings. You know, it's big money. But the thing is, United can afford it. United can afford to pay these wages. You know, we talked about Barcelona being in financial difficulty, Real Madrid. You know, all these big clubs that we're talking about are in financial difficulties apart from PSG. So, and I can't see him going to PSG. So why would he not want to stay at United and earn a big, massive payday as a free agent? You know, so he'll earn more as a free agent at United than he would do if he signed a contract for United now. That's for sure. But you know what? It's hard as a player because you kind of think about long term. As much as you're a free agent come the end of the season, anything can happen this season. Anything from a bad injury, God bless it, never happens to him. You know, there's no security there as far as having a 3, 4, 5 year contract where whatever happens, I've still got that 4 or 5 year contract. So put it this way, come March, he has a bad injury, all of a sudden he's out of contract. He's knackered, you know. At least he was to sign now. He's got 4 or 5 years security behind him. He knows what his future is. He was to get a bad injury, then he's still got those years behind him. So people sometimes say, yeah, it's great to be a free agent. Sometimes you just got to be careful, just from the longevity point of view and security point of view, you know. And he's still got to keep playing well. He's still got to keep the performances in, which he has been doing. And he's enjoying football, Mark. He's enjoying it. You know, as a Man United player, when I used to play, you wanted to see top players come into your club, you know. And if you didn't, then you kind of say to yourself, well, where's this club going? You know, what we're trying to achieve here, because we're not bringing the players to win titles or win trophies, you know. But then all of a sudden, you know, Roy Keane walks through the door, and then Cantona walks through the door, and you think, wow, you know, I can see where we're going with this. I can see we're trying to have a go at this. You know, never saw that with Man United a couple of years back, but now Pogba must be thinking, well, I can see where we're going. I see the type of quality players we're bringing into this club to achieve what we want to achieve, and that might be a thing in the back of their head. That he likes that. He's happy. He's playing well. He's playing week in and week out. He's got the fans back on side, which is obviously so important. And it's a good time for him. Hence why we're having this conversation about will he sign now.
Yeah, he's playing really, really well at the moment. I'm very happy with him. One thing I do want to bring in as well, Donny van der Beek. Now, we've spoken about Van der Beek a lot on this channel. We've spoken about it personally as well. Just some comments I wanted to bring you that Ollie said. He's, you know, Donny's had his first taste of minutes in front of a crowd and knows what Man United feels like. He keeps working hard. He's such a professional and top lad. He'll get his minutes. Let's see what happens in the match tomorrow. Do you think that's a hint that Van der Beek is going to start? He came on for 10 minutes in that game, and I said, yeah, you can't refuse coming on, but coming on for Bruno for 10 minutes, it never getting Bruno's shirt, is he? You know, I'm sure you've played the game. You come on for somebody who's just basically going to start every game for 10 minutes. That's not an opportunity to pin your place down. But could be starting tomorrow. Do you think that means he's going to start? I think he should start tomorrow. Or would you not change it too much?
Well, listen, I mean, it's not going to be an easy one. Going over to Switzerland, a good chunk, boys, are not a bad side. But I kind of don't like those comments in a way, in the fact that, you know, Johnny's going to get his minutes. He's been there like a year and a half now. He's going to get his minutes. He's been sat on the bench. You know, as you rightly said, Mark, come on for 10 minutes when they're 4-1 up. You know, that's not getting minutes for me. That just, you know, that's just me. I'm just trying to let you know that you're still in my part of my plans. You know, minutes is when you start the game. He wants to be starting football matches for 30, 40 million pounds, not coming on when the game's already done. You know, I think that's something to try and appease Johnny van der Beek. I think that's what it is. Listen, he might play tomorrow. You know,
he might get 20 minutes.
He might get that long, but he might. You know, he might start tomorrow. I mean, looking at those, you know, you can't just go in and start, you know, looking like fucking Maradona. You know what I mean? It's a tough one. You know, it really is. So it's a bit unfair on him. But listen, if he starts, you know, hopefully he shows what he's all about. But he's never going to be the first 11. He's never going to be ahead of Bruno's. You know, Pogba can play in Bruno's position. Even Ronnie can play in that position. You know what I mean? So, as we said before, Lingard came on before him a couple of weeks back against Southampton. You know, McTominay's not even back yet. So, how far down the pecking line is he? You know, if you look at it from that point of view, it's probably 3 or 4 places.
Yeah.
And 10 minutes once in a while in a game that's already done and dusted. You know, as a footballer, I'd be, as I said to you last week, Mark, I'd be looking to get away in January. Has to get away in January. And it's tough. It's tough because his dream would have been make United well. I'm coming to the biggest club in the world. You know, any player's dream, and yet it's been an absolute nightmare for him. You know, so at the end of the day, whether it's make United, Barcelona, Real Madrid, you need to be playing football. And Johnny's not playing football, so he needs to get out in January and play some football.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see if he does start him tomorrow, because I agree with you. I was talking about this last night with the lads that the reality is it is the easiest group in the group, easiest game in the group, but then certainly not, you know, a terrible side, and too many changes would be a risk. You know, look what happened against Istanbul last year.
Yeah,
where we did that. Where do you think he'll play him? Because we've just been talking about Pogba. He sort of played, next to Matic. I wouldn't have thought he'd drop Bruno because it's a big game. Do you think a lot of people are saying, "Oh, let's try him in the Matic role"? But Fred's back now, McTominay's back soon. Where would you like to see Van der Beek given a chance? You know, if he's going to get himself into that team.
I don't think he's a holding midfield player. I think if you look at all these games for Ajax, he likes to get forward. He likes to get into the box. You know, as you said, Mark, I think he's a bit like Bruno Fernandes. You know, I think he's probably one of those where you put him in a Pogba's position or Bruno position, because I don't think as a holding midfield player he's strong enough, aggressive enough. But going forward, I think he can make things happen. You know, he seems to get into the right places. He wants to get into the box and score goals, given half a chance. So, yeah, the last thing you want to do if you're going to start him is put him in position where he can't do well. You know, it really is, and I think, if he wants to prove a point to the manager, then he has to play in the right position. So that position would be a Pogba role where he can get forward and not have to worry about getting back defensively. Try and create chances, try and score goals. Just give him a chance to show what he can do to United fans, because we haven't seen a lot of him, and it'd be unfair to even judge him. You couldn't even judge Johnny and say, how good he is or how bad he is. You couldn't even judge him because we don't even see him. Only in little splurty moments. We see Fred all the time. So that's why we always have a judgment on Fred, because we see sometimes how bad he can be, sometimes how good he can be. But he's not even had that chance. So play him tomorrow, put him in a position where he can excel and show United fans what he can do. And then Ollie's got a headache then Ollie's got decisions to make. But whatever he does, he's not going to play ahead of Pogba or Fernandes. He might play in a Carabao Cup game or an early stage of the FA Cup game. But he ain't going to start ahead of them unless he plays tomorrow, gets a couple of goals. Then he's back in Ollie's plans, isn't he?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, because I think it's going to be very hard. It's a bit like the Martial situation now. Lingard sort of moved ahead of him. He's a good player, but it's going to be difficult for him to find his way in. Let's talk about Ronaldo, the return of Ronaldo at the weekend, and obviously a massive impact. Let's talk about the game at the weekend, but also I just want to bring something in. Actually, I saw a quote this morning from one of the players saying that on Friday they have a bit of a treat, like they'll have custard and crumble and stuff like that, and they'll normally have it, but Ronaldo was there and nobody had it. Now it made me think. I'll ask Paul about this, because you went from United in the mid-90s to Italy, and I remember I used to play for my school team then, and we used to take things quite serious. And I remember we all had this book from Waterstones or something, the Italian football diet, and it was all about what you eat, and their pre-season was up in the mountains for 6 weeks, running around and that. Is this a big thing? The diet and everything. We hear about Ronaldo all the time, and what's your thoughts on that? As somebody, you played in Italy as well, was that very different to England, and does it make a big difference?
Yeah, it does. I think when you say like they can't have was it apple pie and custard? Was it on?
Well, they could have it, but apparently nobody had it because Ronaldo was there, and he doesn't drink Coke or anything, does he? I mean, look at his body; he's got no fat on him. He's like my coffee table.
So I get that, and I don't understand why that's coming out anyway. You know what I mean? If you have apple pie and custard every Friday, then have it, whether Ronaldo's there or not. But it's completely different in Italy. You know, when I left Man United, we were having steak and chips. Remember in our time before games and that.
And about 10 pints.
And that was at half time. Yeah. So it was that was our diet as it was at the time. As soon as I went to Italy, it was completely different. You're right. We used to go up in the mountains, a place called Cavallese. Was there for 3-4 weeks. It was pasta, rice, fish, focaccia. You can have no butter, no bread, no salt. I was thinking, Jesus Christ!
They're in prison.
I'm gonna hate it here. But I must say to you, it was the fittest I've ever felt playing in Italy. Just by that food, by that diet, it was the fittest I've ever felt. Whether it's to do with the weather, because you remember in Italy, but also when we trained in Italy, we used to stretch 45 minutes before training and 45 minutes after training. Had to do it religiously. Had to stretch for that time, and they'd be watching you. You do all the same stretches, so it's like an hour and a half stretching. England, we used to do 5-10 minutes, or if that, and then piss off. You know what I mean? So, you know, just from that point of view, learning how to stretch and realizing how important stretching is for the body, you learn that a lot in Italy. So, and this is the kind of effect that Ronaldo has. If you know, we don't look at our diet enough. This is a lot better than was when I played, and players are, you know, don't go around having fish and chips or steak and chips and drinking 10 pints of beer, as you said. You know what I mean? Or, you know, going to the pub after training on a Tuesday and Wednesday. You know, those times are gone, but they were good times. So the diets are a lot better, and I'm sure with Ronaldo being there, he's not going to come in and say you can't eat this, you can't eat that. You know, that can't be the case. You eat what you eat what you like. You're your own person. You know, if I want an apple pie and custard on a Friday and I'm there, I'll be eating apple pie and custard on a Friday.
You're like this. Fuck off, Ronaldo. I'm having seconds.
I'm having Ronaldo's. I'm having these. I'll have 5 of them.
Yeah.
Everybody else. But yeah, I think it's just one of those kind of pathetic things that a player would come out with just because R7's there. I don't think it has any bearing on, you know, how things are going to change at United. You know, people have their own way of, you know, preparing for games and eating throughout the week, and that ain't going to change because R7's there. But
I suppose it's an interesting thing, isn't it, really? Because in a way you think, oh, yeah, everyone's like copying Ronaldo, what an impact he's got. And that's good because what better role model do you want than someone like it who's won all them Ballon d'Ors and trophies? Mm-hmm. But in another way, you could show, well, bloody hell, this shows you the problems at the club before Ronaldo's come in then. If they're all like, oh, Ronaldo's not having custard and cream, I better not have some myself. It's, you know, shows you how important bringing in a Ronaldo and a Varane is, that you know, these leaders and elite players that they're going to learn from, because obviously they were lacking that a little bit before.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, listen, I mean, and at the end of the day, if you're having custard and apple pie on the Friday as a treat, that don't sound good anyway, 'cause it's the day before the game. If you're going to do it, you would have thought you'd do it on the Tuesday when you got the Wednesday off or something like that. Yeah. But what you will get, you'll get players like Ronaldo, players like Varane, who are coming with what they used to be eating at Real Madrid, you know, in Juventus. And this is what I eat before a game. This is what I eat after training. You know, they'll have their specific order that the chef will have to do for Varane, Ronaldo, Fernandes. And then sometimes players might follow that. Okay, well, this is probably the way to go. Well, I was having this beforehand. Let me try this. Let me not have no salt with it. Let me have no butter with my bread. And just see what it affects with them, you know what I mean? So it can have an effect in that way too. So, you know, it's what's right for right and who's for who, you know?
What did you think about the match at the weekend with Ronaldo in the team? Ollie said it was like going back 12 years. And what I read into that was that, not that we played well, that we got rid of a team at home quite comfortably, which we don't normally do. But, you know, obviously there was a big difference. Ronaldo scored a couple of goals. Bruno scored a banger. But what did you think about the performance in general? Can you see a step in the right direction? I know it's very early days.
Yeah, I think is it, as I said, Mark, as you think they're getting there and then they're not getting there. Now let's go back 2 weeks ago, against Wolves. It wasn't a great performance. It was a poor performance. And then international break comes and then have the home game against Newcastle. If you ever wanted to play someone and the return of the prodigal son in Ronaldo, it'd be Newcastle at home. But from a performance where we wasn't great, we wasn't like, well, we've turned the corner. It's, as you said, Mark, it's early doors. We're up there vying with the top boys where we should be. Can we sustain it? We can't afford to start having performances like we did at Wolves and Southampton. But it all just fell into place, didn't it? If you want something to happen with the return of Ronaldo, it happened. The keeper fucks up, it's got a tap in. Even when I look at the 2 goals, the keeper should have saved both of them. If I'm being totally honest.
Yeah.
He's got to save both of them. But Ronaldo has a knack of being in the right place at the right time. If there's a mistake, he seems to be there. No one else would have been there, but he seems to be there. I was watching AC Milan versus Lazio last night, and Zlatan came on. He'd been out for about 6-7 months with a bad injury. All of a sudden, he comes on, gets a tap in. He just seems to be in the right place. I don't know what it is, a sixth sense, but these great players just seem to be in the right place at the right time. They just seem to know where to be. So, from that point of view, it was great to get off the mark, to get 2 goals. He looked sharp. Even before his goal, he had a little run down the left-hand side and had a shot. But he's working between the goalposts, the 18-yard area, as we spoke about before. Very rarely did you see him on the wings. Players are looking for him. There seems a good kind of chemistry between him, Pogba and Fernandes, which is great. You always get these players, if you go back to Sanchez and Ozil at Arsenal, they had telepathy between each other and then they knew where they were going to be. And we've seen it with Pogba and Fernandes. Pogba hitting balls straight at one time over the back 4 into Fernandes. So they've got that kind of telepathic kind of thing, what's going on. And I think Ronaldo's joined that. And if you've got 3 players who know what each other's going to do, then we've got exciting times coming ahead. We really, really have. And as I said, it wasn't an exhilarating game. It wasn't a great game. It wasn't. It was all about Ronaldo and getting the win. I mean, I think it was one of those games where we weren't really fussed how we actually played. I thought it was comfortable. I mean, it was a bit when I equalised. It was all over the place defensively. But I think the fact is, yes, the weekend was about United, return of R7, winning the game, him scoring. That's it. Everyone goes away happy. I don't think the performance was really concerned about to analyse it. Say, well, we weren't great at times, and listen, you bring R7 in to do the business. Yeah, Newcastle, great, easy game. R7's here to do the business against City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal. That's what he's here for. They're the big games. I always felt as a player, and a lot of the players I played with felt that sometimes when you kind of played the lesser teams, it was kind of hard to get up for. I know we were professional, we did our jobs, but that's no respect to the lesser teams. But when you played the big games, when you're playing against Vieira or Gerrard or players like that, Dennis Wise, they're the games you look. That's what you think you're there for. You know what I mean? When you're making they're the games you want to play in, and you kind of got to just go through. I won't say go through the motions, but just go and play the games against the lesser teams, and you get the result because you're better players. But the big games are the ones we want to look at. So as much as it's great, I'm buzzing. I'm going to see R7 when it matters, and that's when the big games come across. That's what he's here for.
Yeah, definitely. I think, it's just early days, isn't it? We'll see what happens from here. One Deal says, shouldn't you be talking about Pogba? One Deal, get up early. We've spoke about him for the first 10 minutes of the show. We are live, Mohammed. You've been going on about it for ages. We definitely are live. If we're not live, we're living in the Matrix. We're definitely live. Just talking about Ronaldo, though, I mean, there was talk about rotation. I think you've hit the nail on the head that, this game is away. It's in the Champions League. We lost to Istanbul last year. If you lose this, you put pressure on yourself with Atalanta and Villarreal. News coming out this morning about Cavani He has picked up a knock and probably, well, he's out of the next game and might miss the West Ham game. There was an interesting comment over the summer that Man United expect him only to be available for about 60% of the games. His injury record is ridiculous, even before we bought him, even though he's a top-class player. This just helps with Ronaldo bedding in, really, doesn't it? I mean, I don't know what we were talking about on Thursday, whether you can rotate Ronaldo. But with Cavani actually injured at the moment, it just means you just start Ronaldo again, get used to playing for United again, mate.
Well, he might do. Or then again, he might be thinking, well, you know, we've got the West Ham game coming up, which is never easy. West Ham are banging form at the moment. And he's got options now, because you said it's young boys away. You could take them for granted and get your arse felt, which has happened a few times. Or you think, okay, well, I'll give him a rest. I'll play Greenwood up top, or I'll play Martial up top. You know, I've got options there. That's the thing. He has got options. You know what I mean? Listen, we know Ronnie has to play centre forward, but we still got to remember he's 36. We still got to remember that the intensity and the high octane of the Premier League is completely different to playing in Italy. I've played in Italy. It's very slow until you get to the final third. There's lots of spaces. When you start playing in the Premier League, you know, it shifts 100%. You know, and so we all got to think Ronnie can't keep playing in that high intensity all the time. I mean, he's going to need his rest. He's 36. He's, you know, he's not a robot as much as he looks like one. You know, he's not. So I couldn't see him playing Ronnie tomorrow. I think it's one of those. If you take him, he has to play. I don't think Ronnie's not going to be one of those. I think, well, I'm going up there to sit on the bench. You either take him and play him, or you don't play him at all. It just feels how Ollie and the staff feel about, you know, the threat of young boys. Can we go with that? Listen, if you go with Martial and Greenwood, and you know, you've still got a very good team. You know, you still expect United to go there and win. You know, this is the point about having a big squad and having quality in the squad. And this is what we've always said. We've never really had a strong bench where we could come and change things or change the team around like we see at Chelsea and City. Now United can go there with a strong team and rest some of their main players and hopefully put performances get a result. You know, so yeah, I can't see Ronnie playing tomorrow. And if he goes, he will play. If he doesn't, I think he'll put Martial up there, or maybe Greenwood, because ultimately, if you talk about Cavani, and you're right, his injury record is not great. But just put it this way: if Ronnie was to get injured, he would play up front. So why not just try Greenwood up there again? You know,
well, Martial definitely wants to play up front. He played there for France, didn't he? So
yeah, so try put Martial up there, because there will be a case where, you know, you can't rely on Cavani. You know, and Ronnie needs the rest. So who's going to be the main one? Is it going to be Rashford when he's back? Is it going to be Greenwood? Is it going to be Martial? Who's the one you go to? So right, Ronnie's out. You're back up front. So he'll try that tomorrow probably.
I do agree with Chinmay, though. He is Mr. Champions League, and so he's got to play. But this is the thing. We're gonna, you know, it's one step forward, this Ronaldo game. There's plenty more to come, and the things that come over from last season was that Ollie didn't rotate. Now, is he going to rotate? He's hinted there. If you've joined us a little bit late, it's on United Stand Twitter. Solskjaer saying that, you know, Donny had a few minutes. Let's see what happens tomorrow. It's quite a big hint, and obviously he's got his press conference coming up tonight, and we'll probably find out then if he's looking to make changes. He's certainly hinted about it enough. But I would agree with Paul. I think it's not necessarily an easy game, and you don't want to get off to a bad start. You want to keep a bit of momentum going. So, but there's loads of players he could play. He could change his centre backs. He could play Lindelof and Bailly, couldn't he? He could play. Well, Fred will probably come back in, move on from that one. But, you know, there's lots and lots of... He could start Jesse Lingard. There's lots of things he could do.
Good. Yeah, and you know what you got to remember, you know, we spoke about this 4 weeks ago when Varane came. We said, who's going to miss out? And then obviously we both agreed that it was going to be Lindelof. But he was probably the best player at the two against Southampton, you know, and he'd be one of those feeling hard done by that he's actually not playing, you know, because... You know, as a player, don't matter who's there. If you're playing well, then I think it's very hard for a manager to not put you back not put you in the side. But you were saying, Mark, needs to get Varane in straight away, and you were proven right. But as Lindelof, as a player sitting there indoors, I'll be thinking, well, I've played well.
I've done nothing wrong, yeah.
Done nothing wrong. You know, I'm now the captain of Sweden. You know, I need to be playing games. You know, because we all know that international managers, if you're not playing for your team, they find it hard to put you in the national side. So, and if he's the captain, he's got to be playing games. So you're probably right. He might come in by you. You know, he's got enough. You know, he could even try free at the back if he wanted to with Wan-Bissaka. I mean, there's enough options he's got. There's enough players. He's got enough quality in the squad where he can change it. Lingard will come back in. This is someone who we thought was, you know, out in the cold, out in Siberia. You know, if West Ham had made the right money, they would probably have got him within the transfer window. Now, all of a sudden, he's back playing, back in the frame. So things can change, you know, and he's got definitely options. But you're right, he's got to get it right. You know, the United fans are on a high. You know, everyone's buzzing. You know, the momentum's great. We're winning games. You know, we've got to go there and do the business, because we've had so much of this. Yeah, we're going forward. Oh, no, we're not. It's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. You know, now there's a real kind of buzz and the positivity of Man United fans. And, you know, if we go to young boys and put in a poor performance, because I'm telling you now, Atalanta's not easy. They're top side. Villarreal are a very good side. So, you know,
yes, we know,
you know, we need to start off on the front foot by winning these games. If we lose to young boys, then it's going to be a tough one to swallow, because, you know, it's just dampened everything that's happened over the weekend with the United's performance and R7 coming back.
It's like Luke and Carl just said in the chat as well. You know, you could make the argument that Maguire and Varane need to play because they're still building their partnership. But I just think with I just personally think that the situation with Lindelof, you're right, but I like what Ollie's doing there, because Lindelof's done nothing wrong, but the better player comes in. It's a bit like when you used to play for England, isn't it? You know, if you were playing and then David Batty came back, you've got to stand out the way because he's a better player.
Yeah, you like to think so.
I had to cover my mouth up then because I was smiling already as I said it.
You were trying to be serious, so you just
I'll tell you what we will bring in though. We were talking about this just before, and I think it's a serious point. We were talking about. Well, I don't think you'd seen it actually. I was watching the game at the weekend, and there was they were going around showing people in the crowd, and they went to a shot of Ryan Giggs sort of sat on the edge. And I think some of our chat picked up on it because they were mentioning it last night, but I certainly picked up on it. And then the stuff that was on social media, I just think, you know, well, I know you've got a good relationship with Giggsy. We know he's in this situation, but for me, he's a United legend, and it's a football match. And I just think it's a bit sad when people, you know, are going in on him, especially when some of them. I expect it from rivals, but not from United fans. I think, you know, at the end of the day, we've got a judicial system here, whatever's going on, and nothing's proven, and he's still a United legend. And it was a nice day on Saturday, and it just left a little bit of a. I just felt a bit sad about it, really.
Yeah, listen, you know, you always get these bigots, you know, idiots. It's always a minority, and that's we spoke about. That's unfortunately the way we live, the life we live, the society we live in. You know, Ryan Giggs, most decorated player for United. You know, played for 20 years. I mean, what he's achieved and what he's done at that club, no one will ever achieve that again. Not in my lifetime, anyway. So, you know, to go there and see what, obviously, I presume to go and see Ronaldo, a wonderful player, you know.
And one legend watching another legend, isn't it? At the end of the day?
Exactly right. And, you know, to get, you know, abuse on social media with something that's not even been proven yet, you know, obviously me and Giggs are very, very close. And we talk about a lot of personal things. So, you know, you can't start slaughtering someone, you know, until it's been decided, you know, and at the day, you know, it's unfair, and especially Giggs, you know what I mean? How can they make United fan? I don't know what he's done, you know, what he hasn't done, what we don't know, all right? Not down to us, Marky, that's down to the judges, that's down to the people in court. But...
Well, everyone's cheering Ronaldo's name, and yet there's Newcastle fans shouting stuff about him.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like people just, you know it. You've played the game. I've said this before. I've met footballers. Now, we've met, and I was a bit surprised when I met you because we were at that event, and everyone was like, "Oh, watch out for Paul. He's he's quite a character." I was, you're like, "Oh, bloody hell, what's he going to be like?" And actually, not a really nice guy. But there are people in football I've met who I've gone, "Oh God, don't meet your heroes." But for me, it's always about football. You're not going down the pub with these people. They're putting a shirt on for your club. that's where you, as fans, that don't get involved in things you don't know about, whether it's Ronaldo or Giggsy or anything like that. There's systems in place for that, and you're either, you know, but as footballers, we definitely shouldn't be going in on our own players in that situation. For me,
no, definitely not. And you know, sometimes you like to just find out who these people are, and you know, and just kind of educate them. You know, what brings you to see someone who's played for your, gives you blood, sweat, and for your club, played for the only club you played for, managed the club. You know what I mean? Was one of the greatest, not the greatest winger we've ever had. You know, what goes through your brain that when you see a picture of him, you should be thinking, wow, there's Giggsy. What a great player. He was unbelievable, X, Y, and Z. Played for so many years, played in midfield for us. You know, what brings you to think completely the other way and go, right, I'm going to go and slaughter him? I don't get that. That's what I want to understand. Educate these idiots, you know, but we keep saying, using that word education, but you're always going to get these idiots. Unfortunately, that's social media. But that won't affect me. It won't affect mine. You know, it's just part of society that we live in. But you're right. It's sad when it comes from one of your own or few of your own fans. You know, and if they are, then they're not really Man United fans, are they? At the end of the day,
I tell you what. Look at what happened with Steven Gerrard. Got found innocent for a thing that was actually filmed, and you know, fair play. That was the judicial system. Innocent. You're not going to get any Liverpool fans going in on Steven Gerrard, are you? Nobody did at the time, and I just think the United fan base is fantastic, but at times it's like totally different thing. I think at the moment people just are sort of, you know, they do it with Bruno, they do it with Wan-Bissaka. Someone's always looking for a fall guy, and look, I'm first to say if someone plays shit, I'll say they played shit.
Fair enough. Yeah,
it's yeah, I didn't like that. And he, you know, Giggs is definitely a legend of this club. That it cannot be disputed. And I know what was a really good day. I just think also the TV cameras don't put him on. You know, if you, it's almost it's just like red rag to a bull with these people. It wasn't great on a day that was so good. And then you had the Newcastle fans singing stuff about bloody Ronaldo as well. And you think if he was wearing a Newcastle shirt, you'd all have bloody Ronaldo 7 on the back. But look, that's rivals fans for you, isn't it?
And again, if Ronaldo obviously playing for United, scoring 2 goals, there was no fans coming out and on social media about Ronaldo, were they? About something that's done with him.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? I don't get it. Anyway, we shouldn't give them the time of day, to be fair. So we've just wasted 5 minutes talking about idiots. But
yeah.
Unfortunately, that's life.
So we'll talk later in the week about the West Ham game because you used to play for West Ham, but things are looking good with United. Pogba might sign a new contract. Donny might start. Cavani won't. He's injured. So Ronaldo might start again tomorrow. And an encouraging result. And we'll see what happens building out for the rest of the week. There was one question somebody did ask me. Were you ever intimidated at any point on your career by any player? Was there any player that, you know, not because you were scared of them, but, you know, it could be because you thought they were going to bloody injure you or anything like that. You came up as a young lad through the sort of late 80s, so it's a different game then. Was there any sort of players that sort of intimidated, worried you a little bit?
The only one I'd be totally honest with would be Vinnie Jones.
Yeah.
It was the only one that I thought. I remember playing for United. I was only 21, and we went down to Plough Lane, and you know, you heard all about the crazy gang and, you know, Fash and Vinny and all that lot. And I remember coming out and he looked like he just, you know, come out of the pub. You know what I mean? He looked like
probably had.
He probably had
probably had more than what the pub sells as well, you know.
He did. It looked like he just came out, and it was big, and I just thought, wow. You know what I mean? I'm not sure about this. And we had the kick-off, and it came back to me, and I think within about 20 seconds, he'd gone bang right through me. Right, I mean, it was a foul, but it just hit me so hard, and I thought, Jesus Christ, I'm not sure I fancy any more of this. You know what I mean? So he was probably the only one who I thought, you know. But then later on, as got more experienced, then that was it. You know, no one shouldn't intimidate you, because I think if that's the case, your focus is not on what you're doing. You're more worried about who you're up against. You know, I used to love looking for battles, Vieira, Keane, Gerrard, all that lot. I couldn't wait to get stuck into them. But to be intimidated by, no, Vinny was probably the only one in my early stages. But after that, No one at all, Marky boy.
It's probably the perfect thing, isn't it? When you're a young player playing up against Finney Jones, it's never going to get any worse than that, is it? Because I mean, some of the stuff he used to do, I don't even know what he was doing playing football. It was almost like he was on the pitch just to kick people. That's what it was like at times. I can't even remember whether he was a decent footballer. I know he played for Wales, but that doesn't say much, does it?
Now, do you know what? Listen, it was. You know what he reminded me of? He reminded me. I don't know if people remember a lad called Terry Hurlock who played for Millwall.
Oh, I remember, but no one else will. He had sort of curly hair, didn't he?
Was one tough mother of honestly. He was another one who was tough as anything, and because it was at Millwall.
Well, they had him. They had Sheringham, who could put himself about.
Yeah.
Ruddock started there, didn't he?
Yeah, like,
they were a nasty team, weren't they?
Little team. But to tell you, Vinny was like Terry Hurlock. You know what I mean? They just did the job. They just tackled, they intimidated, they got in your face, they mouthed it off. If you wanted to fight, they see you down in the tunnel. You know what I mean? That type of player. Vinny had his long throw, which was obviously great for when you got Fashioner and people up there and Gow up there. But put it this way, he wouldn't have got on the mate. He wouldn't have got on the mate. So I put it that way, you know. But great character. He was a great character and a lovely man. You know, I got to spend some time with Vinny after all those years, and top man. But he did what he was good at. If he could intimidate the opposition, that was half his job done. If people were shit scared of him, that kind of, you know, nullified the qualities that he had. You know, he used his qualities to the best that he could, and he fought a lot of people, and he was a tough bastard. So, in all in all, he made a great career out of it, and now he's acting. And fucking hell, there you go. You know, all these lunatics are acting. Vinny, Cantona, what's going on
here? Well, yeah. He hadn't done a film in ages, though, has he? But anyone in your career? Yeah, this is a good question from James. Says anyone before or after your playing career you wish you could have played with? Because you played with like Roy Keane, Cantona, Gaza. You played with some pretty good Shearer. You played with some bloody good players across your career. Can't remember who you played with at INCE, but whatever.
Yeah, I played with a lot of players. I'd like to play with Zidane.
Yeah,
Zidane. I played against him when he was at Juventus and I was at Inter. But I'd love to play with him alongside me. Unbelievable player, everything. You know, it's funny, like, because when you think about Zidane, you think he's one of the greatest players of all time. And when people say Zidane, they always think about the headbutt in the World Cup. You know, he's kind of tarnished his kind of name with that situation. Because when you don't really talk about what a great player he was, people say, "How would you mean when he headbutted?" You know, and that's the sad thing about it. But as a player, he was immense. And, you know, he was one of those players I would like to see in the Premier League. You know, really was. And I suppose at the time, you know, in 96, 97, 98, those years, Serie A was the best league in the world. It was the most financially rewarding. We had the best players in the world. So no one really wanted to come over to play in England. That's all changing now, thank God.
It is. Well, look, Paul, it's been fantastic. Thanks very much for popping on this morning. Nice to go through the news and have a bit of a chat as well, and also get some of the questions in. But we will be. I'm back again at just before 3 o'clock, actually, speaking to Romano. So we might have a bit of a POGBA update on that. So we will speak to you all very soon. But thanks for coming on, Paul.
Thanks, Marky. Thanks, guys, for listening. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for the chat. Make sure you smash a like on the video, and we'll speak to you all in a bit.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, pal.
Hey, Marky. Ta-ra.
See you in a bit, mate. Ta-ra.